What do you think, buddy? You think I'm out of control?
Hey guys, what's up? So today I want to talk about decluttering. And I know that it's an issue for a lot of people, almost all of us, I feel like. It's like a never-ending journey that you can embark on. When we were raising the kids, we were living in a 1,200 square foot townhome. So it wasn't very big for 4 people. And we also like to do a lot of different hobbies. Very creative people. So we have art supplies and musical instruments and photography and all the things, right? I have a very good friend of mine who loves to shop, but she's also very good at keeping her house clean. And I remember like she would go through her daughter's toys and then just put things in bags while they were like at school and get rid of stuff. And I was like, that's kind of mean. Like, I can't imagine doing that to my kid, because I always wanted to let them make the decision whether they wanted to keep it or not. But then I think that was harder because they couldn't even decide if, they had a really hard time letting things go. There's so many feelings to the stuff that we have, right? So then we tend to keep things and we're just like, well, we'll just throw it in a tote and then we'll put it in the basement. And because I might use it in 6 months or a year, and then things just tend to sit in totes for years and years, and at least that's been my experience. So my decluttering journey, kind of like I said, started back when I was kind of being inspired by other people and seeing like how clean and organized their home was with less stuff, and I loved that feeling. I wanted that for myself. Just wasn't really sure how to continue to keep it going when you've got kids and they've got all their things and we've all got our stuff. Then I started watching some shows like Marie Kondo's Spark Joy, maybe. Like, she talks about, as she's helping her clients go through their things, and they're kind of like parsing things out, and they're gonna either donate things or they're gonna donate or give things away, or they're gonna keep them. But one of the things that you learn is that they hold the item and then they say, does this spark joy? So if it does not spark joy, you've got to let it go, right? I think that's an awesome thing to be able to do, to think of as you're going through your stuff. In 2015, we moved from that 1,200 square foot home actually into a bigger home, which was like 1,600 square feet. And it had 2 external barns. So there was a pole barn, really big barn, and then an external, like probably the size of a 4-car garage maybe, with a little area off to the side that was like big enough to put your lawnmower and things like that. So a lot of space. At this point, our oldest son was basically out of the house. He was in college, and our daughter was like maybe 10th grade. And so I didn't really have the toy issue. And actually, as we moved from that 1,200 square foot to the 1,600, we were able to go through a lot of their stuff and give it away, donate it, throw it away. So something that you want to think about when you do start to go through your things are buckets. One is, okay, I'm donating or I'm giving this away. One is, I'm going to sell this. So if it's an item that's worth dealing with Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, if you use that, is this available? If you've ever sold anything on Marketplace, you know what I mean. Super annoying. But anyway, so you want to make sure that it's a higher price item that's worth dealing with people to sell these items. And then the other one is just throw things away. So we did that when we moved the first time. And I remember when we moved in, I specifically asked my husband, like, please don't start collecting stuff. Just because we have this space to put things. You watch those shows where you see like kids that have to go through their parents' homes, and there are things in there from decades and just piles and piles of stuff. And I do not want to do that to my kids. My parents actually retired and moved across the country, and so they already dispersed of a ton of their stuff. So they really don't have a lot. And so I'm really grateful that we're not going to have that experience when they pass on, that we won't have so much stuff to go through. And so I was very adamant about this for my kids. But when you have the space, so within a couple weeks, I remember walking into the pole barn, and off to the right was a dartboard like machine, like one that would be in a bar, like an entire big dartboard. I was like, what is that? And Craig was like, it's dartboard. I'm like, why? Because the pole barn was supposed to be like his workshop, like his wood shop. That's where he would work and make cabinetries and stuff, do cabinets and stuff like that. So I'm thinking like, what do you need a dartboard for? But I don't like to like be one to be controlling, or it's like you can't have that. But I just remember feeling this overwhelm of like being smothered. I can't stand the thought of being smothered by stuff. And I'm not in any way perfect. I have my own things that I've held on to for years. So I didn't, I'm not going to tell him like get rid of it, but I just remember that fear being there of like, oh, if you're in a relationship, I don't know, there's give and take, right? So then we were in that house for 5 years and we filled it up. Like at one point, before we actually had even moved there, we had purchased a pottery store. So this woman was like, put it on Craigslist or whatever. It was, she was selling everything she had. And we had always wanted to open some sort of art studio. So Craig was like, let's buy this pottery store and this will be the start to our studio that we want to open. There were truckloads and truckloads of ceramics is basically what it was that was already made. Some of it was like not kiln dried yet. I'm just so overwhelmed even thinking about it. There were like, we got the art supplies, brushes, the glazes, but all of it was like, a lot of it was old. And honestly, her place had caught on fire. So some of it had like charcoal around the edges of like the bottles of paint and stuff. But I mean, most of it was still in good shape, but we just took a lot of stuff. We filled up a friends of ours' basement with ceramics. We had it in our basement. So we carried that over to the new house. So we had ceramics, and then of course we have home decor. And then within 5 years, I've got my parents' stuff being stored in there. I've got another family member's stuff that was being stored. And you just tend to like take on all these items that we just have such a hard time letting go. And so by time we moved from that house, that's when we decided to separate, and I bought my own house and he got his own place. And so we had separated a lot of our stuff. Now, I would say this was the second big round of going through our stuff, but it was the biggest round of like getting rid of things I've ever dealt with in my life, because we had a lot of stuff. And then on top of that, we only had like 5 weeks to between the time that they gave the offer and that we had to be out of the house. We literally were leaving like the day that we needed to be out. We were still like carrying stuff. Luckily, Craig has a trailer, and so we were able to like easily move our furniture and all these things, and like take things to Salvation Army. I mean, we took things to the junkyard, like just trailers full of stuff that we just we pitched all the ceramics, because where we were moving to, like I moved into a 900 square foot home. So I had gone down in space, and I'm not going to carry all that. So I didn't even want all that stuff. So I wasn't going to take it. So that was at the point where I had actually gone through like home decor is a thing for me. That is something that I love. I love to decorate my house, and I've had a difficult time paring it down because I move and then I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm going to want to decorate that space. Every place you live is different. You're going to have different furniture potentially, and different places you can or can't decorate, different ways you can decorate. So I've had a hard time, but I have been doing it. So I moved, and I remember I went down to like I think I had like maybe 20 totes. So picture like 20 of those big plastic totes from like Walmart or whatever. And I was really proud of myself because I bought shelving units from like Home Depot, and I think I bought like 4 of those big shelving units. I had all my totes on the shelving units in the basement, and it just looked really clean and organized. And another tip is go with clear totes so you can actually see what's inside the stuff. Way better. But I remember a friend of mine came down and she was like, wow, you have a lot of stuff. And I thought, now she has a huge home and 2 kids. So the same thing, family of 4 with a, so I just thought, man, I just got rid of so much stuff and I thought I pared down. And then I moved from that house 7 months later and we moved into another 900 square foot home. So it wasn't like really in that big of a difference in size, but I was able to go through some of the home decor and let go of some things and donate it mostly. But also another thing that I would recommend doing as you're going through things is ask family members if they want things. So some things I had, like I had a Chinese cabinet that was passed down from my grandmother's house, and it was very memorable in our family. She had it for ages. And so I knew I didn't want to just sell it or donate it. I would rather ask all my extended family even, hey, does anyone want this before I sell it or donate it? And I did have a cousin that wanted it and she was like, yes, I very much want that. So she was so happy to get it. I was happy to get rid of it, and it's still in the family. So definitely don't be afraid to ask people if they want things. I have asked nieces, like I gave one a KitchenAid mixer that like sits on your counter, those bigger ones I thought I would use and then didn't end up using. So I gave that to her, and so they've gotten some pretty nice things out of it. I'd rather give it to family members if I know that they can use it. And I also make sure when I message them about it that I like no pressure whatsoever. Like obviously I'm trying to get rid of it, so if you don't want it, I would not be, hurt over that. Totally get it. But just letting you know, like, hey, I have this. I would take pictures of things. So like if I had home decor where I think it's nice enough that somebody might want it. I mean, if it's garbage, like stuff from Dollar General or whatever, just donate it or let it go. But I would take pictures and then send like in a group message with my nieces and my sister and say, hey, I'm getting rid of all this. Anybody want anything? So we'd lived in the next house for like a year and a half, moved again. Now this time we moved to a home that was even smaller. So we went down to like I want to say it was like 500 and some square feet, but then Craig finished the upstairs. So now it's like 700, 800 square feet. I don't know. It's still tiny. It does have a basement for storage, but it's not a big house. It's a Cape Cod style. So it's just a small home. And I've just learned over the years that I feel better the more stuff I get rid of, the more I let go of things, the better I feel. Oh man. So this is kind of an intermission in my show because I was recording and I did like maybe 25-minute recording and it only recorded like 15 minutes and overheated. Which I thought was really ironic because I was watching a video yesterday of this woman who was saying like, yes, you can use your iPhone to record videos, but it'll overheat. And like, I was thinking, my phone is never overheated when I recorded a video. Until now. So, yeah, I'm going to eat my lunch. I got Panera Bread, tomato soup, grilled cheese. I'm very excited about. And then I'm going to try recording the second half again. This is legit. This will be like the 3rd time that I've recorded this video. I don't know. This week is just testing me, but I will get through. I will do this. So that was your little intermission. Let's get back to the video. Also, real quick, funny thing. I bought Fig Newtons. I haven't had these in like a long time. And I got Milo some dog treats, and I swear they smell just like Fig Newtons. So I'm like, I've been wanting Fig Newtons. So when I seen them, I was like, oh yeah, that's happening. Are they good as I remember? They are good, but I kind of forgot that I like the raspberry ones better. That's all right. They're good. They got figs in them. It's like fruit. This is my fruit serving. All right, guys, I'm back. I've got my iced coffee, and I am ready to sum up this video on uncluttering, decluttering, organization. So my first tip would be to get inspired, and Either if you have friends that are, pretty organized or good at doing this, then talk with them about it. Maybe they'd be willing to help you. Watch TV shows. So like I mentioned, Marie Kondo's show, and there was also The Home Edit is another one that I watched. And that's really good at, just kind of watching, getting inspired, and then it kind of makes you, helps you get motivated to want to do it yourself. So start there, and then my second tip is to start small. Some of these things can be time consuming and they can take up more time than we think they're going to. So just start simple, start with one drawer, or start with your car, or maybe one closet, and make sure you give yourself more than enough time, more than the time that you think you'll need, because sometimes if it's kitchen stuff, maybe not so much, but if it's like a closet and you end up with things that are sentimental, then it takes a little bit more time to kind of go through those and have to have that process of mourning and letting things go and figuring out which pile they're going to go into. So speaking of piles, that's my third tip, is when you start doing this, when you pull everything out, everything's going to go into 4 piles. You're going to have one pile for donate, you're going to have one pile for sell, one pile for keep, and then one pile for trash. I do recommend, like I said earlier, plastic totes. Clear plastic totes are the best for storing things. That way you can see exactly what's in it. And also, don't be afraid to ask others if they might want your items. So take pictures of them and send them out to friends or family and just say, hey, FYI, I'm getting rid of this stuff. If anybody wants anything, let me know. There is a downfall to this, is that then they either expect you to drop it off, or they're like, okay, yeah, I'll get that from you, and then you're still hanging on to it a month later. So that's one drawback of it. The last time I did it, I just took everything to everybody so that I could literally just get it out of the house. And that's the other thing I recommend too, is get that stuff that you're going to donate to the donation place as soon as possible. I am super guilty of being the one with stuff sitting in my car for 2 months. I've gotten better at it in the last few years, but not something I'm great at. So we can only try a little bit harder every day, right? Get 1% better. So if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them below. Oh, one other thing I was actually thinking about in January, if anybody would be interested, I would like to host a uncluttering challenge, if you will. And I'm thinking of making it maybe like 4 weeks, and each week we go through some different section of the home and just declutter and get rid of things. So if that's something that you'd be interested in, make sure you let me know and I will put that together. So until next time, you guys, see ya. I feel like I have a hair in my eye. I have dog hair everywhere because the golden retriever, it's just inescapable. So